Hi everyone, I'm Sandy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would start talking a little bit about one of my reading goals for 2024. I have a couple of these videos coming up in the next week or so, just talking about some of my plans and some of my ideas for 2024. I am really excited about this particular project though, because it's one I've been thinking about quite a bit, given the size of my TBR, my physical TBR, and that I've been trying to do the Read What You Own challenge. So when I was looking at my list, I saw I have 50 plus books that have been on my physical TBR since I started my channel, and there's some of the books that I hold right away and I just never got to. So yeah, what I'm gonna do is I've pre-selected 24 books that are my TBR veterans that have been around for a moment or two that I would like to prioritize in 2024. I like the 24 and 24 numbers. I think that's really fun to do. So I'm just gonna bop through these books. If I know why I got the book, I will definitely talk about that in when I go through the particular book, but I'm not going to really read a lot of the synopsis of the books. I might read a couple. We'll see. And if I have any reading plans already scheduled for them, I'll definitely talk about that as well. I'm going to go through the hardbacks first, because honestly, having unread hardbacks on my shelf is probably the thing that I like the least. Because these are expensive books. Why am I buying expensive hardbacks and then letting them sit on my shelves? That's a great question. I don't have a good answer for it. But all right, the first one, I do know where I got this one. The book is Becoming by Michelle Obama. This was actually a Christmas present that I got well before I started my channel, I believe. Yes, definitely well before I started my channel. This is Michelle Obama's first book, and I would absolutely love to prioritize this one in 24, mainly because I've just had it for so long. I've heard it's really, really good. So yeah, that one. The next book is a silly purchase. It absolutely is a silly purchase. It is Anxious People by Fredrik Backman. You can see that there's a Target sticker on this one. Basically, when I started my channel, I went just a little bit wild with some book buying. And for some reason, when I went to Target, I decided I had to get a book while I was at Target, which I ended up buying this one. I did start reading, I read my first Fredrik Backman this year, which was The Man Called Ova. And that book was really, really well done. It was one of my subscriber favorite books. And I liked that book. It just hit home in a lot of ways because of some of the characters and what they were going through. So I'm really excited to read another one. I have heard almost nothing about this particular book. It's probably like number 5 in a series or something, and I just don't realize it. But this is the next one. The next book I know I've had for 7-ish years. I bought A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. My friend Bill and I were going on a cruise, and we said, oh, let's get a book and we'll read it together while we're on the cruise, and then we can talk about it and do that. Yeah, no, that didn't actually happen when we were on the cruise, and he has read it and I still haven't. This book is showing up in the subscriber favorite suggestions for 2024. It was also part of my author list that I wanted to try in 2023 that I didn't get to. I really need to read this book because I know I've had it for at least 7 years. So yeah, that's sad that I've had it quite that long and in a hardback. I know I bought it when we were going on the cruise though. So that's why I have Gentleman Moscow. The next two are part of a bind up from Barnes & Noble, and they are part of this Agatha Christie Hercule Poirot collection. Death on the Nile is a book that my Goodreads says I have read, but I'm not entirely sure. But I'm hoping still to reread that in December. I don't think I'm going to make it. But the two books that are in this bind up are actually the ABC Murders and 5 Little Pigs. Every time I show this particular bind up, people say that these are great, especially 5 Little Pigs, some of their favorite books. So absolutely. And of course, I love the opportunity to show these editions that I have. So pretty. I love the insides as well. And the gold on the edges. I mean, just incredibly, incredibly well done. But that is the next two. The next book I bought around, was it the Women's Prize a few years ago? It was on price lists out there, which is why I ended up buying it, and I never read it. How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps Her House by Cherie Jones. I still am really curious about this one. I think the buzz died down a little bit on this one, but that is why I know I bought it, because of a price list. So yeah, that one is on there. The next book I read Cloudsplitter by Russell Banks, which had a lot in it about this particular person, John Brown. It was a fictional book, but it really made me curious about this particular person. And I know that is why I ended up buying this book, which is The Zealot and the Emancipator by H.W. Brands. This is John Brown, and this obviously is Lincoln. And so I don't read a ton of history books, but this book was one that really was interesting to me, because I wanted to learn more about John Brown. I know there's a couple of events that John Brown was involved in. I believe Harper's Ferry is one of them. And then Harper's Ferry also came up in the Underground Railroad as well that I read, and How the Word Has Passed that I read this year. So there is a great tie-in to that, and it is one that I really would like to explore more about John Brown. So The Zealot and the Emancipator. And the last book, I know why I bought it. I bought it because it's pretty. And there's no other reason why I bought it. I've never read this author. Don't know anything really about this book. I 100% bought it because it was pretty. And that is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. I mean, it's just gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful cover. I love a blue cover, blue and black cover. And that character on the front of it, I just want to know what's going on. I know nothing about this. It says on the back, space holds countless secrets. She just found the deadliest one. I don't remember a lot of people talking about this. I do know Christopher Paolini just had another book published, I believe called Murtaugh, which is, if I remember correctly, the sequel to one of his more famous works, right? But now the name of that one, the one with the dragon, it's escaping me the name of it, but I would like to prioritize this one. So, I mean, that's a good hardcover stack. All right, now I'll go into the paperbacks. So the next paperback is one that is showing up on a subscriber favorite list as well. I am going to try and double down on a couple of lists this year to try and make my life easier. Oh boy, this book is a chunker though. It is It by Stephen King. Why did I buy it? I can't remember. I had been on a little bit of a Stephen King kick. I read The Stand, I read The Shining, I read Misery, and then for some reason I picked this one up and then just never actually read it. It's a story I've always wanted to read. I remember watching the adaptation a long time ago, the one that had John Ritter in it, I believe, and really kind of got sucked in, and Tim Curry was the clown. I have watched the more recent adaptation, but for whatever reason, that old school adaptation is the one I think of when I think of it. But this is one, maybe March of the Mammoths. I mean, this is a massive book, right? It is 1,150 pages. So not the longest book I've ever read. All right, I have Life After Life by Kate Atkinson. I'm hoping to do a buddy read with this one. I believe Kristen at Enter the Book said she might want to read this one, if I remember correctly. I have, of course, Lady Susan in this particular one, which I will try and read in July. I know I bought it because of Jane Austen July and because someone was doing a group read of it, and then I just never read it. I also have Maurice by EM Forster. Jen the librarian was doing a year-long read of Forster's works. I read, I think, 3 or 4 and then just didn't get to the last few. Time got away from me, but that's why I had this one. I had this one actually before her piece, but I thought I could fit it in for her readathon and then just didn't. And of course, I have Seabiscuit by Laura Hillenbrand. This one I picked up after I read Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand because I loved that particular book. And I thought, oh, I have to keep reading her. Great idea. Never picked it up. The next book I actually have reading plans for. I will be doing a buddy read of this book in February with a few people. We will be reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Yeah, this is one, anytime I show this book, people are like, you must read this now. So I will be doing this as a group read with a few booktubers in February. So that should be really fun. I have a feeling this will be a fast and easy read. I have read other Taylor Jenkins read. I read Daisy Jones and the Six, but I never got to this one. So yeah, Seven Husbands. And then I'm going to continue on with Stephen King, and the drawing of the three, which is part of the Dark Tower series, I believe. I read The Gunslinger quite a bit ago. I was supposed to Betty read this with my friend Sarah at work, which is why I picked it up. And then she stopped reading it. And then I was like, okay, I'll give her some time to catch up. And then she never picked it back up. So I think I'm going to abandon Sarah and go ahead and read this in 2024. Maybe I'll talk to her and see. This is a really interesting edition because it has illustrations in it, which I had never seen before in this kind of format of a Stephen King book. So I do remember reading the first part of this and really like being pulled into the characters, because if I remember right, there's like someone like taking over another character, and it's very strange book. But I like this one much better, the part that I read of it, than I did The Gunslinger. So I'm really excited about this. I also actually have book 3 of this, The Wasteland. So we'll see, but that one is on the list. I have a book that I picked up for the Asian Readathon the first year I was on BookTube. Am Aala. Yeah, I mean, I'm so sad that I haven't read this. I think my friend Angela said she would read this to me like 2 years ago, and then I never picked it up. Angela, if you're watching this and still would like to read this with me, let me know. But I am Malala. I have The Yield by Tara June Winch. I know I picked this up because of BookTube. I don't know anything about this. I know she's an Australian author, but I don't remember why I particularly was interested in it, other than I know I saw it on a bunch of channels and thought, oh, I have to read that one. The next book is one I don't remember buying, to be honest with you. I don't even know where it came from on my shelf. It probably was a Barnes & Noble buy one, get one 50% off, and that is The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. Yep, no idea. No idea why I bought it. Have I read any Lucy Foley? No, sure, I don't think so. Nice wintry scene, though. It'd be perfect to read in December, but no, haven't read it. The next book is technically my husband's book, and it is probably the one in this pile that I've had the longest. I would say probably about 15 years. Don't know when it was published. Look at the suspense I'm building. You don't know what book it is. Hold, please. Published in 2006, so 17 years old. I'm pretty sure I've had it for at least 15 years, and that is The Fourth Bear by Jasper Fforde. Like I said, this is not my book. This is my husband's book that's on my bookshelf, but I counted it in my TBR, so now I have to read it. I'd much rather read this than Herodotus the Histories, which has been on my shelf probably about as long as this one, but this one seems like a lot more fun, so we'll go with that one. I have the next book because of the wonderful Marilyn Maya Mendoza, the baby boomer booktuber. She is absolutely wonderful. We've done a couple of buddy reads. I love reading with her. She had recommended a book, or I had seen this book on her channel, but I know I picked it up because of her, and that is The Hollow by Agatha Christie. So this one's about 3 years old. Somehow the cover got damaged. I don't know when that happened, but I would like to read this one. The next one I know I bought because of a Barnes & Noble buy one, get one 50% off, because it still has the sticker on it. So yeah, oh, that's funny. Is that right? Look, okay. It still has the sticker on it. So that is definitely why I bought this. I don't know anything about this one as well. People have told me that this book is really good, but I don't know anything about it. So Where'd You Go, Bernadette? That one will be there. The next book I have is an outdoor book. I love a good outdoor story. There was a film that was made based off of this book, and I watched the film and then decided I wanted to read the book, and it is called Where Bigfoot Walks, Crossing the Dark Divide by Robert Michael Pyle. I love a good outdoor book. I love a good hiking book. And so, yeah, but I've had it now for a few years. Like, why have I not prioritized this book? I don't know, but that one will be on my 2024 TBR. The next one is a book I picked up for Pride Month and then didn't get to. Pride Month probably a couple of years. It definitely was at least a couple of years ago because it was on my 2021 TBR. And that is The Prettiest Star by Carter Sickles. I've heard nothing but good things about this one, but I understand it will make me cry and it's a difficult read. Yeah, that one. The last book is probably one of the more surprising ones that I haven't read yet, and that is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I don't know why I've not read this. I've heard interesting perspectives or lots of different perspectives on it. It says winner of the Orange Prize for fiction, but I have not read it. So yeah, we're going to try it in 2024. So that is my 2024 TBR veteran, my veteran TBR pile books, whatever we're calling this. I think it's a good mix. I've got some nonfiction, I've got some fiction, I've got some horror, I've got a little bit of, is this considered sci-fi? I think so. Sci-fi or sci-fi. We'll call it sci-fi. So a wide mix of different ones. I've got some classics with Lady Susan. I've got some newer release ones. Yeah, all over the place. So I'm pretty excited about this particular list. We'll see how many of them I make it through in 2024. A couple of my other projects in 2023 did not go well. And when I say they didn't go well, it's that I did not finish more than 50% of the books that were on that list. So let's hope I'm more successful with these. What's your oldest book on your TBR? I'd love to hear that. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe.